When you think about Europe, which cities come to your mind? Paris, London, Barcelona, or maybe Rome? Most people think of these famous cities first, but how many people think about Belgrade, Sofia, or Minsk? These cities are also part of Europe, and this is where we find a hidden divide between Western Europe and Eastern Europe. Western Europe is known for its strong economy and high quality of life, with a per capita GDP of $52,000. But in Eastern Europe, it's only $17,000. Why is there such a massive gap? In this video, I'll explore how history, geography, and politics divided Europe into two, revealing a dark truth that most people never learned. When we look at a map of Europe's income levels, the divide is clear. The red areas show where income is lowest, and the green areas show where it's highest. Most green areas are in the west, and most red areas are in the east. This pattern has existed since the end of World War II, but why has it stayed so long? The answer lies deep in Europe's history and geography. Europe is the second smallest continent, but over the last 2 centuries, it was the most powerful. To the south are the Mediterranean and Black Seas, and to the southeast is the Caspian Sea. To the north is the Arctic Ocean, and to the west is the Atlantic. Even Greenland is considered part of Europe, culturally and politically. So why, on the same continent, is there such a big difference between Eastern and Western Europe? To understand this, we need to go back to 1945, after World War II ended. Europe was divided into 2 parts. Western Europe chose democracy and capitalism, while Eastern Europe fell under the Soviet Union's control, where communism ruled. In communism, the government controlled all resources, businesses, and land. This meant resources were evenly distributed, but people had little motivation to start businesses or invent new things, because the government took all the profits. This system held back the dreams of Eastern Europe's people. Imagine working hard, but someone else takes the reward. How frustrating would that be? On the other hand, Western Europe's capitalism encouraged people to start businesses, make profits, and create new ideas. The government only collected taxes, leaving freedom in the hands of individuals. As a result, Western Europe grew quickly in industry, technology, and wealth. For example, Germany's car industry and France's fashion world became famous globally. Meanwhile, in Eastern Europe, such progress felt like a distant dream. Then came 1991. The Soviet Union collapsed. Eastern European countries gained independence one by one. Even after so many years of independence, Eastern Europe still hasn't become as wealthy as Western Europe. A big reason for this is geography. Countries like Ukraine, Poland, and Belarus have flatlands, perfect for farming. But these flatlands were also easy targets for enemy attacks. Throughout history, these countries faced invasions, which stopped them from fully using their farming wealth. On the other hand, the Balkan region in the south has mountains and rough terrain, making it hard to build roads, buildings, or infrastructure. This geography quietly held Eastern Europe back. But geography's impact doesn't end there. Eastern Europe also faced another challenge: limited access to the sea. Meanwhile, Western European countries had open access to the Atlantic, Mediterranean, and Baltic Seas, allowing them to explore new lands, expand trade, and build powerful global empires. Starting around the 1500s, countries like Britain, France, Spain, and Portugal didn't just trade, they took over lands. They set up colonies in Asia, Africa, and the Americas, collecting huge amounts of wealth and controlling important resources worldwide. By the 1800s, these Western empires controlled about 40% of the world's resources. This wealth boosted their economies, sparked the Industrial Revolution, and helped build modern infrastructure that we still see today. But most of the Eastern European countries were landlocked or stuck behind narrow trade routes, like the Danish Straits or the Bosphorus, controlled by others. Without easy access to the sea, they couldn't explore new lands, build colonies, or dominate global trade. While Western Europe grew its influence, Eastern Europe was dominated. Countries like Poland, Hungary, and those in the Balkans were often ruled by bigger powers, like the Ottoman, Russian, or Austro-Hungarian empires. Instead of gaining wealth from colonies, they were exploited and held back. Additionally, Western Europe found huge oil and gas reserves in the North Sea, making countries like Norway, Britain, and Germany even stronger. Eastern Europe lacked such natural resources. However, Eastern Europe isn't helpless. Its farming is impressive. If communism hadn't existed, this region could have been the world's food basket. Another major reason was the lack of peace and stability. After the fall of the Soviet Union, most of Europe's conflicts happened in Eastern Europe. In the 1990s, the breakup of Yugoslavia led to bloody wars in the Balkans. Millions fled the region, especially to Western Europe. Then, in 2014, the Ukraine crisis began, with Russia's annexation of Crimea, eventually escalating into a major war in 2022. These wars forced skilled people to leave, halting economic growth. But war doesn't just destroy buildings, it breaks people, it steals dreams, and silences the next generation. Education and research also played a role in this divide. In Western Europe, education and innovation opened doors to economic prosperity. Universities, research centers, and the tech industry pushed boundaries. Scientists in Germany and Britain invented new technologies that made them global leaders. But under communism in Eastern Europe, the government controlled education and limited free thinking. That held back many talented people and pushed innovation into the dark. Investment and foreign capital also mattered. After the war, Western Europe received massive aid through America's Marshall Plan, revitalizing its economy. Political stability attracted foreign companies. Meanwhile, communism in Eastern Europe discouraged foreign investment. Even after gaining independence, instability and corruption kept investors away. The effects of communism lingered in Eastern Europe long after the Soviet Union's fall. Yet some countries, like Poland, the Czech Republic, Romania, and other European Union members, moved quickly toward progress. They opened to new opportunities in industry, technology, and trade. But many countries still lag behind because corruption remains a major obstacle. Still, Eastern Europe's potential hasn't disappeared. Poland, the Czech Republic, and Romania are proof of this. Once among Europe's poorest regions, these countries are now making strides. In the end, geography and communism stopped Eastern Europe from becoming as wealthy as Western Europe. But times are changing. Eastern European countries are slowly rising, while some Western European nations face new challenges. This history reminds us, those who are behind today may lead tomorrow. But this story isn't just about money or economies, it's about people. Will geography and history control our destiny forever, or can we break these chains? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. Well, similar climate and environment like Europe, yet why 80% of New Zealand is still empty? Is European colonialism responsible for this? Watch the video on screen to find out.